The silver spoon slips from Chukwuemeka Okafor's hand, clattering against the marble floor of his Victoria Island mansion, because the pregnant woman scrubbing his bathroom tiles has the exact same birthmark his daughter had, the one shaped like a crescent moon behind her left ear, the daughter he buried 7 years ago. If you enjoy thrilling African stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and tell us where you are watching from. Your support means the world to us. His hands shake as he grips the doorframe. The woman doesn't notice him yet. She's humming something, an old Igbo lullaby his late wife used to sing. Chukwuemeka built an empire worth 3 billion naira, owns half the commercial real estate in Lagos, sits on the boards of 12 companies, but right now he can't breathe. The woman turns, and when their eyes meet, the bucket of soapy water crashes to the floor. Her face drains of all color. Chidinma. The name leaves his lips like a prayer, like a curse, like something impossible made flesh. She backs against the wall, one hand instinctively protecting her swollen belly. Her lips move, but no sound comes out. For 7 years, Chukwuemeka lit candles at her grave every Sunday. He built a school in her name. He destroyed himself with guilt and grief. And here she stands, alive, pregnant, wearing a faded cleaning uniform with someone else's name stitched on the pocket. "Papa?" Her voice cracks on the word. The world tilts. Everything Chukwuemeka thought he knew shatters like the expensive china his current wife is always buying. He takes a step toward his daughter, his dead daughter, his living daughter, and she flinches. That small movement cuts deeper than any business betrayal he's ever faced. "You told me she died." His voice sounds foreign to his own ears. "The accident, the funeral, I buried you." Chidinma's eyes fill with tears, but her jaw sets in a way he remembers when she was a stubborn child refusing to eat her vegetables. "You buried an empty coffin, Papa, just like you buried the truth about who really runs this family." Before he can respond, footsteps echo in the hallway. His wife's voice calls out, sharp and impatient, "Emeka, the guests will be here in an hour. Why are you talking to the help?" Chidinma's face hardens. She shakes her head, a tiny movement, pleading, "Don't tell her. Not yet. Not now." Chukwuemeka's mind races. His wife, Ngozi, his second wife of 5 years, the woman who comforted him after Chidinma's death, the woman who encouraged him to move on, to focus on business, to let go of the past. Something cold and terrible begins to take shape in his thoughts. Ngozi appears in the doorway, diamonds glittering at her throat. Her eyes scan the mess of spilled water, then land on Chidinma with obvious disgust. "Clean that up properly this time. Mr. Okafor shouldn't have to see such incompetence." She doesn't recognize her own stepdaughter. But then again, the Chidinma who left was 22, fresh from university, full of dreams. This woman is gaunt, worn, carrying life in her belly and death in her eyes. Ngozi touches Chukwuemeka's arm. "Darling, are you all right? You look pale." He manages to nod. "Just felt dizzy for a moment. Low blood sugar." "Come, let me get you some juice. We need you sharp for tonight. The Chinese investors are very particular." She guides him toward the door, throwing one last dismissive glance at Chidinma. "And you, finish this room, then report to the kitchen. We need extra hands." When they're alone in the hallway, Chukwuemeka stops. "This maid, how long has she worked here? 2 months, maybe? Why? Where did you find her?" Ngozi shrugs. "The agency sent her. Background checked, references, all proper. Why this sudden interest in the help?" "No reason. But there's every reason. His daughter, alive and hiding in plain sight in his own house. Questions multiply in his head like termites eating through wood. What happened 7 years ago? Who orchestrated the fake death? Why is Chidinma here now, pregnant and pretending to be someone else? And most pressing, how deep does Ngozi's involvement go?" That night, Chukwuemeka can barely focus on the dinner party.
He smiles and shakes hands with the investors while his mind screams. He watches Chidima serve drinks, move through rooms like a ghost, visible but unseen. At one point, she passes close to him, and he smells the same coconut oil she used in her hair as a teenager. His chest physically hurts. When the guests finally leave, Ngozi retires to bed early with a headache. Chukwuemeka waits until the house falls silent, then makes his way to the servants' quarters. The small room Chidima occupies is barely larger than a closet. She sits on the narrow bed, still in her uniform, hands resting on her belly. She doesn't look surprised when he enters. "Lock the door," she whispers. He does. Then he stands there, this powerful man who commands boardrooms and controls millions, completely lost. "Tell me everything." Chidima's laugh is bitter. "Everything? Where do I even start, Papa? With the night your precious Ngozi's brother offered me 2 million naira to disappear? Or maybe with the part where he said you approved it, that you wanted me gone because I was embarrassing the family by refusing to marry Chief Okonkwo's son?" The name hits Chukwuemeka like a fist. Chief Okonkwo, his former business partner. The arranged marriage he'd suggested once, casually, never seriously pushing it. "I never approved anything. I would never—" "I know that now." Chidima's voice breaks. "But I was 22 and stupid. Adeyeze showed me documents with your signature, bank transfers, letters detailing how I was a disappointment, how I shamed you by wanting to be an artist instead of marrying into wealth. Adeyeze, Ngozi's older sister." Chukwuemeka's throat tightens. Chidima continues, words tumbling out like they've been dammed up for years. "They said if I didn't leave quietly, they'd destroy you. They had evidence of financial crimes, tax evasion, things that would put you in prison. I didn't know it was all fabricated. I thought I was protecting you by disappearing. The accident? Staged. They put a body in my car, someone from the mortuary Adeyeze's husband owns. Dental records were switched. You identified me based on jewelry they planted. Everything was planned down to the detail." Chukwuemeka sinks onto the edge of the bed, decades of business acumen useless against this level of betrayal. Why come back now? Why like this? Chidima's hand moves protectively over her stomach. "I didn't plan to. I've been in Ghana all these years, barely surviving. I met someone, got pregnant, then he died in an actual accident 2 months ago. I had nothing. No money, no papers, nowhere to go. I thought if I could just get close to you, find some way to tell you the truth, maybe you'd help me even though I'd been gone so long. You think I need convincing to help my own daughter? I didn't know if you'd believe me. 7 years, Papa. 7 years of you thinking I was dead. 7 years of them feeding you lies, probably turning you against my memory. For all I knew, you'd call me a scammer and have me arrested." The pain in her voice unmans him. Chukwuemeka reaches for her hand, and this time she doesn't pull away. Her fingers are rough, calloused from work his daughter should never have had to do. "How far along?" 6 months. "The father?" "Was a good man, Kwame. He was a teacher in Accra. We were planning to marry." Tears finally spill down her cheeks. "He died never knowing his child would be born, just like I died never knowing my own father still loved me." Chukwuemeka pulls her into his arms, and she breaks, sobbing against his chest like she used to after nightmares when she was small. He holds his daughter, his living, breathing daughter, and makes a silent vow. Someone will pay for this. Someone will answer for every tear, every moment of suffering, every stolen year. But first, he needs to understand the full scope of the conspiracy.
Over the next 3 days, Chukwuemeka becomes someone he thought he'd left behind, the street-smart hustler from Ajagunle who built something from nothing. He hires a private investigator, but not through his usual channels. He pays cash to an old friend from his days before wealth, someone who understands that sometimes justice needs to happen in shadows. What they uncover makes him wish he'd stayed ignorant. Ngozi and her family didn't just orchestrate Chidinma's disappearance. They've been systematically stealing from his companies for 6 years. The evidence forms a pattern so obvious Chukwuemeka feels like a fool for missing it. shell companies in Adiaza's husband's name, inflated contracts to Ngozi's brother's construction firm, real estate deals that somehow always benefit Ngozi's cousins. They've taken roughly 400 million naira, and they did it all while smiling in his face, sharing his bed, pretending to mourn his daughter. The investigator finds something else too, a recording from the night of Chidinma's supposed death, security footage from a deleted camera file recovered from a backup drive, Ngozi and Adiaze in a parked car outside the morgue celebrating. Finally, Ngozi's voice is clear on the audio. Now there's nothing between him and us. No daughter to inherit, no one to question the finances. He's ours completely. Adiaze laughs. I almost feel sorry for the girl, but she was too proud, too stubborn. This was easier than fighting her for years. Should we worry she'll come back? With what? No passport, no money, no proof of identity? She's as good as dead. Better, actually, because if she ever surfaces, we can have her arrested for fraud. They laughed together, these women who ate at his table and called him family. Chukwuemeka watches the video 3 times. Each viewing hardens something inside him that used to be soft. He thinks of his late wife, Chidinma's mother, who died of cancer when their daughter was 18. She made him promise to protect her child, to make sure she knew love even without a mother. He failed that promise so completely it physically sickens him. He calls his lawyer, the one he's used for 30 years before Ngozi's family ever entered his life. I need you to prepare something, quietly. No one in my current circle can know. What are we talking about? Divorce papers, fraud charges, asset recovery, and a will change. Emeka, what's happened? I found out my daughter is alive, and I found out my wife is a thief and a liar. Those 2 facts are about to collide very loudly. But he's not ready to act yet. He needs everything in place first. So he plays the role of oblivious husband for another week, all while gathering evidence, moving money to protected accounts, and preparing for war. Chidinma stays quiet, continues working, her belly growing more obvious each day. He catches Ngozi looking at her sometimes with something that might be suspicion or might be contempt. It's hard to tell with a woman he now realizes he never really knew. One evening, Ngozi asks him directly, "Are you sleeping with the maid?" Chukwuemeka nearly chokes on his wine. What? You look at her. I've noticed. Are you having an affair? The question is so absurd given the truth that he almost laughs. No, Ngozi, I'm not sleeping with the maid. Then why do you watch her? Maybe I'm just observant. Maybe I notice things I should have noticed years ago. Ngozi's eyes narrow, but she doesn't push further. That night, Ngozi hears her on the phone in her study. He presses his ear to the door. She needs to go. I don't care how. Fire her, pay her off, whatever. Emeka is acting strange, and I think it's because of her. Adiaze's voice responds, tinny through the speaker. You're being paranoid. I'm being careful. We didn't come this far to lose everything over some pregnant nobody. Fine, I'll handle it, the same way we handled the last problem. Chukwuemeka's blood runs cold. They're talking about getting rid of Chidinma again. He moves quickly, heading to the servants' quarters. Chidinma is awake, reading an old paperback by lamplight. Pack your things, now, you're leaving tonight. Fear flashes across her face. What happened?
They know something's wrong. They're planning to remove you. I won't lose you twice. He takes her to a hotel in Lekki, pays for a month in advance under a fake name. Stay here. Don't leave. Don't contact anyone. I'll come to you when it's safe. Papa, what are you going to do? He kisses her forehead, marveling that he gets to do this again, touch his child, feel her alive under his hands. I'm going to do what I should have done 7 years ago, protect my family and destroy my enemies. The next morning, Chukwuemeka calls a family meeting. Ngozi arrives in the study looking relaxed. She's invited Adieze and her husband, plus her brother Chidi. They're all smiling, unsuspecting, probably thinking this is about some new business venture they can exploit. What they don't know is that Chukwuemeka's lawyer is present via video call, along with 2 police detectives and an investigator from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Thank you all for coming, Chukwuemeka begins. His voice is steady, cold, nothing like the warm tone they're used to. I wanted us to be together when I share some news. My daughter Chidinma is alive. The room freezes.
Ngozi's face drains of color. Adieze actually gasps. Chidi starts to stand, then sits back down. "That's impossible," Ngozi breathes. "We buried her." "No, you buried someone else, someone you paid to die in her place, someone whose family probably still doesn't know what happened to them." Chukwuemeka clicks a remote, and the security footage plays on the large screen. Their voices fill the room, celebrating Chidima's supposed death, congratulating themselves on a job well done. Adieze bolts for the door, but the detectives are already there. "Sit down," one commands, "all of you." For the next hour, Chukwuemeka lays out everything: the fake death, the forged documents, the stolen money, the shell companies, every piece of evidence meticulously documented and verified. Ngozi tries to speak several times, but the lawyer cuts her off with legal citations and recorded proof. "You took my daughter from me." Chukwuemeka's voice finally breaks through his control. "You took 7 years I can never get back. You made me mourn while you stole and lied and celebrated. And you did it all while sleeping in my bed and calling me your husband." Ngozi finds her voice, desperate now. "Emeka, please, let me explain. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. We just wanted security. We wanted to make sure you wanted my money, my companies, my life, and you were willing to kill for it. Because make no mistake, when you sent my daughter away with nothing, with false documents and threats, you tried to kill her. That she survived is a miracle, not mercy from you." "Where is she?" Adieze demands, showing her true nature now that pretense is pointless. "What lies has she told you?" "No lies, just truth. More truth than I've heard in this house in 7 years. The detectives move forward with handcuffs. "Ngozi Okafor, Adieze Mba, Chidi Okoro, you're under arrest for fraud, identity theft, conspiracy, and attempted murder." Ngozi's scream echoes through the mansion as they lead her away. "You can't do this! I'm your wife!" "No," Chukwuemeka says quietly. "You're a stranger who fooled me. The divorce papers are already filed. You'll get nothing except what the courts decide you deserve, which, based on the evidence, will be a prison cell." When the house finally empties, Chukwuemeka sits in the silence. His phone buzzes. A text from Chidima. "I saw the news. Is it over?" He types back, "Come home, your real home." 2 hours later, she arrives. He's had the servants clean out Ngozi's things from the master suite, relocated his own belongings to a different wing. The room that used to be Chidima's, preserved exactly as she left it 7 years ago, waits for her. She stands in the doorway, taking it in. Her old art supplies still on the desk, her books on the shelves, photos of her mother everywhere. "You kept it," she whispers. "I kept everything. I couldn't let go. Even when I thought you were gone, I needed this room to remember you existed, that you were real, that I had a daughter who mattered more than all the money in the world."
Chidinma turns to him, tears streaming. "I'm sorry I believed them. I should have known you'd never send me away." "You were young and scared. They were professionals at manipulation. This isn't your fault." He pulls her close. "None of this is your fault." They stand like that for a long time, two survivors of the same war, finding their way back to each other. Over the next few months, the legal proceedings drag on. Ngozi and her family try everything, hire expensive lawyers, attempt to negotiate, but the evidence is too strong, and Chukwuemeka has too many connections who were always loyal to him, not his wife. The courts are thorough and merciless. Chidinma's baby arrives on a rainy Lagos morning, a girl, healthy and loud and perfect. She has Kwame's eyes and Chidinma's stubborn chin. They name her Adaora, which means daughter of the people, because she represents a new beginning. Chukwuemeka holds his granddaughter in the hospital, this tiny creature who exists because her mother survived impossible things. He thinks of his late wife, wishes she could see this moment. Somehow he thinks she knows. Somehow he feels her presence in the room, approving, blessing this child born of love and raised in truth. "What are you thinking about, Papa?" Chidinma asks from the bed.
She looks exhausted but radiant. I'm thinking that I spent 7 years building monuments to grief when I should have been searching for the truth. I'm thinking that wealth means nothing if you can't protect the people you love. I'm thinking that your mother would be proud of you, of how strong you are. I'm thinking the same about you. You could have chosen to believe them, to reject me, but you didn't. Blood is blood, Chidinma. Money comes and goes. Companies rise and fall. But family, real family, built on love, not convenience, that's the only investment that matters. 3 months later, the verdicts come through. Ngozi receives 10 years for fraud and conspiracy. Adaeze gets 12 for her role in the identity theft and staged death. Chidi gets 8 years for money laundering. Their assets are seized and liquidated. Chukwuemeka gets back most of what they stole, though some money disappeared into offshore accounts they'll probably never recover. He doesn't care about the money. He cares that they can't hurt anyone else. On the day of sentencing, he runs into Ngozi in the courthouse hallway. She's aged badly in just a few months. Prison awaiting trial has been unkind. She looks at him with something that might be regret or might just be anger at getting caught. Was it worth it, destroying me over her? I didn't destroy you. You destroyed yourself the moment you chose greed over humanity. And she's not just her. She's my daughter. She's my family. She's worth more than you could ever understand. Ngozi's eyes harden. You'll regret this. I gave you 5 good years. You gave me 5 years of lies. Chidinma gave me life itself, gave me purpose beyond money, gave me a reason to be a better man. There's no comparison. He walks away without looking back. That evening, he sits on his terrace, watching the Lagos sunset paint the sky orange and pink. Chidinma joins him, Adaora sleeping against her shoulder. They don't talk, just exist together in comfortable silence. A proverb his own father used to say comes back to him, Onye aganan nuanea, which means do not leave your brother behind. It's about family, about loyalty, about the bonds that matter more than gold. He failed that teaching once, let a snake into his house and nearly lost everything that mattered. But he has a second chance now, a chance to be the father his daughter deserves, a chance to be the grandfather Adaora needs, a chance to build a legacy based on love instead of just wealth. The city sprawls below them, millions of people chasing their own versions of success. Chukwuemeka used to be one of them, always hungry for more money, more power, more status. Now he understands that he already had everything he needed. He just had to fight to keep it. Chidinma leans her head on his shoulder. Thank you, Papa, for believing me, for fighting for me.
Always, he promises, from now until forever. No one will ever take you from me again. And in that moment, as the sun dips below the horizon and the city lights begin to sparkle like earthbound stars, Chukwuemeka Okafor finally understands what it means to be truly wealthy. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Your support means everything, and there are more powerful African stories coming your way. Share this with someone who needs to remember that family is the greatest treasure we can ever protect.